In the world of military aviation, the United States has uncovered and revealed something truly magnificent to the world. An anti-gravity aircraft that defies the logic of man and maybe even that of physics. These technologies have shifted the boundaries that scientists have encountered over the years and birthed truly amazing and unbelievable projects. But it does not end there, because in the United States, aviation companies are still working on various secret projects with features and designs that are bound to shock the entire world. What are the details of these secret projects? Do these magnificent creations truly defy the law of physics? Join us as we reveal the mysteries surrounding an aircraft that supposedly defies the law of physics, the U.S. Air Force anti-gravity aircraft. Let's begin with the Antelope Valley. This place is a powerhouse for the U.S. defense industry, swarmed with military bases and top-tier government contractors. This 300-acre stretch between Palmdale and Lancaster, California, is home to the 42nd Plan of the U.S. Air Force, Skunk Works, Northrop Grumman, Boeing, and NASA's Armstrong Flight Research Center. Just north lies the famous Edwards Air Force Base, and a bit farther the U.S. Naval Base at China Lake. And of course, there's the legendary Groom Lake area, the perfect location for those looking for secrets and extraterrestrial encounters. This region isn't just a hub, it's the epicenter of advanced aviation and mysterious phenomena. Among these mysterious creations birthed in these locations is the TR-3A Black Manta, a hypersonic reconnaissance aircraft that supposedly emerged from a secret collaboration between the U.S. Air Force and Northrop, the same minds behind the legendary B-2 Spirit stealth bomber. Rumors also have it that the Astra Aurora and the SR-72 project as potential successors to the iconic Lockheed SR-71 Blackbird. However, the TR-3A is more likely the precursor to the Aurora project, laying the groundwork for even more advanced and sophisticated aircraft. Let's talk more about the Black Manta. The TR-3A might seem like a straightforward story about a stealthy reconnaissance aircraft designed to work with the F-117. However, things take a wild turn when we dive into the intriguing claims about the TR-3B. Unlike the turbojet-powered TR-3A, the TR-3B is said to be powered by a reverse-engineered anti-gravity drive, supposedly recovered from a crashed alien spacecraft. This is where reports of UAPs performing impossible aerial maneuvers intersect with tales of real aircraft. The internet is filled with fascinating claims about the TR-3B's anti-gravity drive. Most of these stories involve nuclear power spinning highly pressurized mercury to create plasma and in turn a gravitational field. Many accounts of the TR-3B's development link back to Operation Paperclip, the program where the United States brought over 1,500 German scientists and engineers at the end of World War II to work on various defense technologies. We've previously discussed how myths about advanced Nazi technologies emerged after the war, and the folklore around this anti-gravity platform has been influenced by these Wunderwaffe or wonder weapon claims. While these stories might sound far-fetched, there is some evidence supporting parts of them. For instance, an anti-gravity drive like the one believed to power the TR-3B would need an enormous power source, far beyond what our current aviation engines can produce. Yet Lockheed Martin holds a patent for containerized cold fusion reactors, which they claim could be compact enough to fit inside the fuselage of an F-16. But that's only the beginning. The most extreme aspects of the TR-3B could potentially be explained by the work of one aerospace engineer who is reportedly now employed by the U.S. Space Force. In 2020, the United States Navy filed a series of strange new patents featuring what seems like science fiction technology similar to claims about the TR-3B. These patents cover a range of topics from gravitational wave generators to space-time modification weapons, all linked to one person, Dr. Salvatore Cesar Pais. According to Pais's official biography, he has worked as a NASA graduate research fellow, an advanced concepts analyst with Northrop Grumman, and with the Department of the Navy Strategic Systems Program. Now, he is reportedly with the U.S. Space Force. The Navy has invested at least $466,000 in advancing Pais's work since 2017. Much of this work has been made public through 3 patents filed by the Navy, starting in 2016 with one titled craft using an inertial mass reduction device. One of the strangest things about the patents linked to Pies's work is that they are public. Since the Invention Secrecy Act of 1951, the U.S. military has had the right to keep patents secret. These patents don't explain how the U.S. could have had this technology in the 1990s, and there's no evidence that these patents have resulted in actual technology even today. However, some believe the U.S. has been studying these systems for decades and may be revealing their progress through patents to stay ahead of foreign countries like China, which might be close to a breakthrough or public disclosure. While Salvatore Pais's work could potentially lead to incredible results, there is currently little evidence to support his claims or prove that his patents work. Within the scientific community, he faces significant skepticism. Carl Willis, a nuclear engineer and reactor supervisor at the University of New Mexico, who is developing an advanced plasma fusion neutron source for the Army, criticized Pais's work. He described it as containing invented jargon, nonsensical statements, weak or absent theoretical basis, too many vague terms instead of precise quantities, and many statements that contradict basic physics. In other words, these patents might not be the definitive proof of anti-gravity technology. But before we get lost in what is and what not, let's check out the supposed design of the Black Manta. Unlike the Aurora, the TR-3A didn't have conspicuous protruding wings. Instead, its shape was crafted with exaggerated stealth features, transforming it into a flawless black triangle. It also had all its surfaces coated with a special polymer that had radio observation capabilities. This polymer, combined with advanced electronic recognition systems, allowed the aircraft to manipulate its radar appearance. It could mimic the look of a cylindrical or even a miniature flying object. The core mystery of this plane revolved around its power source. It was rumored to employ a high-pressure, mercury-based system accelerated by nuclear energy. This setup generated plasma, creating an almost complete anti-gravity field around the craft, reducing its weight by a staggering 89%. Some experts have described this setup in detail, explaining that it incorporated a circular plasma-filled accelerator ring known as a magnetic field disruptor. This technology was leaps ahead of anything we could imagine at the time. The TR-3A mercury-based plasma was pressurized to a mind-boggling 250,000 atmospheres at a chilling temperature of 150 Kelvin. This plasma was then accelerated to a dizzying 50,000 revolutions per minute, creating a superconducting plasma that effectively manipulated gravity. The Black Manta seemed to defy the laws of physics. Equipped with conventional thrusters at its ends, the TR-3A could zip through the skies in any direction at speeds up to Mach 9. The only real limitation of this aircraft is the endurance of the human pilot. It's hard to argue with that kind of speed and agility pushing human limits to the edge. What's really intriguing is that this triangular marvel wasn't just spotted in the USA. Back in the early 1990s, witnesses in Belgium took pictures of a strange object with 4 bright lights, often mistaken for a UFO. More likely, it was the Black Manta. There's even evidence suggesting these stealthy planes were used in the Gulf War to help guide Lockheed F-117 Nighthawk bombers, ensuring their laser-guided bombs hit their targets with pinpoint accuracy. Some argue this mysterious aircraft also served as a testing ground, paving the way for future bombers like the B-2 Spirit. Both aircraft were crafted by Northrop, but the investment in the Black Manta was hefty, even compared to the eye-watering cost of the B-2 Spirit, which soared past $3 billion at the time. The TR-3A is credited with a slew of technologies, some of which even today seem right on the cusp of science fiction. These include super-powerful long-range combat lasers, the ability to manipulate climate conditions within a specific radius, and the use of extraterrestrial technologies at the core of its design, acquired by authorities following UFO incidents around the planet. As we've mentioned before, much of what's said today can sound pretty anti-scientific. Speaking of other famous American stealth aircraft, one that stands out is the Northrop Grumman B-2 Spirit. This aircraft, the Northrop B-2 Spirit, also known as the stealth bomber, is a heavy bomber used by the United States Air Force. It makes use of special technology to avoid detection by radar and is designed to get past heavy anti-aircraft defenses. This subsonic aircraft, which looks like a flying wing and has a crew of two, was primarily built by Northrop with help from Boeing, Hughes, and Vought. It was developed between 1989 and 2000. This bomber can carry both regular and nuclear bombs, including up to 8,500-pound GPS-guided bombs or 16 2,400-pound nuclear bombs. This bomber is the only aircraft currently in service that can carry large standoff weapons in stealth mode. The development of this bomber began with the Advanced Technology Bomber Project during the Carter administration, which canceled the faster B-1A bomber because the new project looked promising. By the mid-1970s, military aircraft designers had discovered a groundbreaking way to evade missiles and enemy interceptors, a method we now know as stealth. The idea was to create aircraft with shapes and materials that reflected or absorbed radar signals, making them nearly invisible to radar detection. This meant that stealthy aircraft could fly undetected and avoid attacks from radar-dependent weapon systems. Although there were other detection methods, like infrared scanners and acoustic locators, their limited range and underdeveloped technology meant that most stealth aircraft could fly unnoticed, especially at night. In 1947, DARPA asked United States aviation companies to propose designs for aircraft that would be nearly invisible to radar. Northrop and McDonnell Douglas were initially chosen for further development, while Lockheed, with its experience from the A-12 and SR-71 projects, also joined the race. These projects had already featured several stealth innovations, such as angled vertical stabilizers, the use of composite materials, and radar-absorbing paint. A major advancement was the use of computer models to design aircraft with faceted surfaces that minimized radar reflections. Lockheed began developing these ideas in 1975 with the Have Blue project, an experimental aircraft to test stealth concepts. By the summer of 1975, DARPA had launched the Experimental Survivability Testbed project, awarding contracts to Northrop and Lockheed for initial testing. Lockheed's success led to further development and the creation of the iconic F-117 stealth attack aircraft. Meanwhile, Northrop was working on its own classified stealth project, the Tacit Blue, at Area 51. This project, which began in 1979, developed key stealth technologies such as low observables, fly-by-wire systems, curved surfaces, composite materials, electronic intelligence, and battlefield surveillance capabilities. The stealth technology from Tacit Blue eventually contributed to the design of the B-2 stealth bomber, revolutionizing modern aerial combat. By 1976, stealth technology had advanced enough to make a long-range strategic stealth bomber a real possibility. President Jimmy Carter learned about these developments in 1977, leading to the cancellation of the B-1 bomber project. In early 1978, after the Have Blue stealth aircraft successfully demonstrated key concepts, further studies were ordered. During the 1980 presidential election campaign, Ronald Reagan criticized Carter for being weak on defense, using the B-1 cancellation as a prime example. In response, on August 22 that same year, the Carter administration revealed that the Department of Defense was developing stealth aircraft, including a new bomber. The Advanced Technology Bomber program started in 1979 under the secretive code name Aurora. After several eliminations, the competition for the best company to entrust the development of this project to narrowed down to two teams, Northrop, Boeing, and Lockheed Rockwell, and they were both proposing flying wing designs. Northrop, with its experience from the YB-35 and YB-49 flying wing projects, presented a larger design, while Lockheed's design included a small tail. In 1979, designer Hal Markarian sketched a concept that closely resembled the final B-2 design. Initially, the Air Force planned to acquire 165 of these bombers. On October 20, 1981, Northrop's design, known as Senior Ice, was selected over Lockheed's Senior Peg, and the bomber was eventually designated B-2 and named Spirit. Midway through development, the B-2's mission profile shifted from high-altitude to low-altitude terrain following, delaying its first flight by 2 years and adding about $1 billion to the program's cost. By 1989, an estimated $23 billion had been secretly invested in the B-2's research and development. MIT engineers and scientists assessed the aircraft's mission effectiveness under a classified contract during the 1980s. Northrop was the prime contractor, with major subcontractors, including Boeing, Raytheon, Joule, and Vought Aircraft. During its design and development, the Northrop's program operated under such secrecy that it was classified as a black project. That requires all personnel involved to have top-secret clearance. Despite this, it was slightly less secretive than the Lockheed F-117 program, with more federal officials aware of its existence and more information available about the project. Both during development and in service, extraordinary measures were taken to protect the B-2's design and technology. Anyone working on the B-2 needed special access clearance and underwent rigorous background checks by a specialized branch of the USAF. The project's secrecy extended to a former Ford automobile assembly plant in Pico Rivera, California, which was acquired and extensively rebuilt for the bomber's production. Employees there were sworn to secrecy, components were bought through front companies, military officials visited in civilian clothes, and staff were frequently subjected to polygraph tests. For years, almost all information about the program was withheld from the Government Accountability Office and Congress until the mid-1980s. The B-2 was first shown to the public on November 22, 1988, at the United States Air Force Plant 42 in Palmdale, California, where it was built. This event was highly restricted, and guests were not allowed to see the back of this bomber. However, editors from Aviation Week noticed there were no airspace restrictions above the site and took aerial photos of the aircraft's secret rear section, which included hidden engine exhausts. It was unlike any other bomber previously developed. However, there's a key part of the story that was essential for the B-2 Spirit to become more than just an idea on paper: the Lockheed F-117 Nighthawk. The development of this aircraft was shrouded in such secrecy that even top Pentagon officials were unaware of its existence. The mystery surrounding the F-117 Nighthawk sparked intriguing stories due to the limited information available about the plane and sightings by witnesses who saw unusual shapes in the sky. This led to the birth of the legend of the F-19 stealth fighter. Many believed it was a non-existent fifth-generation aircraft, and it even appeared in model kits like the Revell monogram, named Hillary and Chester, supposedly based on photos taken at Area 51. When the F-117 was finally revealed in late 1988, any notion of it being the same as the F-19 quickly disappeared. The choice of the misleading designation F-117, where F stands for fighter, was likely deliberate. This was intended to hide the true purpose of the future American aircraft from the Soviet Union. After its combat debut during Operation Desert Storm became public, the air fighter quickly demonstrated its capabilities. However, after the F-117 crashed, the People's Republic of China approached the Yugoslav government to request access to the wreckage. This granted them access to the guidance systems and various heat-resistant components of the engine nozzle. According to the former head of Croatia's military headquarters, agents from the People's Republic of China actively searched the crash site where the Americans had been. People even resorted to purchasing plane parts from local farmers in their quest to understand the technology. Let's dive into the Bird of Prey, an intriguing aircraft born from a collaboration between McDonnell Douglas and Boeing back in the 1990s. It earned its nickname Bird of Prey due to its striking resemblance to these majestic hunters in flight. What set the Bird of Prey apart was its incredibly low radar profile. Engineers achieved this through a smart aerodynamic design that hid any gaps in the aircraft. They used flexible casings to cover these gaps while meticulously aligning the cockpit, landing gear, wings, and fuselage to ensure nothing stuck out, making it incredibly stealthy. Even the engine air inlet was cleverly hidden from radar, enhancing its stealth capabilities further. The development of the Bird of Prey was marked by innovative methods, like advanced computer simulations that accurately predicted its performance. This approach allowed engineers to create component prototypes that closely mirrored the final product, a new method compared to older techniques. Before it took to the skies, many doubted if this seemingly futuristic aircraft could even fly. Chief pilot Rudy Haug famously made a paper model of the Bird of Prey that gracefully flipped in the air before soaring, surprising everyone. In 1996, Hogg piloted the bird of prey, making history and revolutionizing aircraft design and construction. Today, you won't find the bird of prey tucked away in secret bases like Area 51. Instead, it's on display at the National Museum of the U.S. Air Force in Wright-Patterson, Ohio, where you can see it firsthand. The United States keeps progressing with the development of extremely advanced fighter jets with mind-blowing capabilities, and it seems like this nation has cracked the technology code. It's safe to say that there is no limitation to the technology that the U.S. can develop. Thanks for watching. While you are still here, click on the link on your screen to check out another of our videos. See you there.